Hello, beautiful kindred souls, and welcome to my spiritual oasis. Here, weary souls come to find inner wisdom and peace. Today, we are going to be doing our elemental reading for the month. So we're going to be looking at the primary guiding energy for each of the elements that we have represented here today. So we have fire, earth, air, and water. So we're going to be looking at each individual energy, and then we're going to read it together for the month, what the total energy or focus for the month will be. So let's go ahead and start with our fire. This isn't necessarily a pick a card, though you could look at it that way, you could treat it that way, you could focus on a specific energy. If you are feeling guided to do that, you can listen to all of the energies independently and the collective energy, and then maybe decide what your focus will be for the month. But we're just going to get a taste of what each of the energies is providing for us. So let's start with our fire. Okay, so gathering together is the focus for fire energy. And you could look at this from the perspective of like what your primary placements are in your chart. So if you have a lot of fire, Sagittarius, Leo, Aries in your birth chart, then maybe the focus will be connected to that. So gathering together, to me, always feels like a very earth and water sort of energy. And it's in the placement of fire. So I feel like in that light that it's really talking about the unification of your spiritual world and your desires and passions, the things that you are really passionate about, that energize you, that excite you about life, that fire energy. Things are coming together, those elements. So job related, your spiritual side, your creativity, and your skills, or your creativity and your job, your creativity and your work are coming together. These various different forces are combining and aligning themselves in a way that is going to magnify each individual part, so that the sum is greater than each individual part, is what I see here. So it feels very powerful, and though this isn't necessarily, I would say, a natural state for fire, because I do feel a lot of, collaboration of energies and potentially also people. And again, that's not the typical primary focus of fire energy. Fire energies, I would say it's pretty solo. Like our water and earth energies are really collaborative, that divine feminine, inwardly strong sort of energy, and fire, of course, is divine masculine and outwardly expressive and strong. So I do feel like fire, I feel like the fire energy will be challenged this month and need to temper the desire to be the rogue warrior, if you will. So if you have a lot of like independent, solo dolo type of energy, you're really being called to kind of channel that in a way that brings many energies together into one, which is going to take some tempering and some patience and other things that are typically strengths of water and earth energy. So tap into your water and earth energy if you have more fire energy and you are connecting more with the fire message in that. Let's continue with the reading and go to our earth element. So we have the taming power of the great as the focus for our earth energy. So again, you could take this as, if you have strong earth placements in your charts, Taurus, Virgo, Capricorn, this could be the focus for you. Or if you're connecting more with, say, career, money, worldly possessions, work, business, those sorts of things, potentially Earth is your focus for the month. But really what the taming power of the Great is talking about here is self-discipline. Okay, so the circle, or the white here, represents yin energy, which is the masculine energy. And then we have the mountain symbol, which the mountain symbol talks about a meditation. It talks about, you know, retreating away from everyday life, meditating, grounding yourself, finding your purpose, your focus, your alignment. And we have the mountain symbol on top of, or over, or above our yin energy. So it's really talking about, it's not saying suppress, it's saying discipline. So for example, when we talked about our fire energy being very robust and can get very out of control quickly, the taming power of the Great is really talking about channeling, being intentional about how you spend your creative energy or your yin energy. And in order to be disciplined in that way, you need to be able to concentrate, which means when you're not in a position where it's dire, you need to be practicing it. So you need to be meditating, you need to be doing your affirmations, you need to create some sort of a spiritual, not religious, but a spiritual routine where you are connecting spiritually, where you are affirming who you are, knowing who you are, grounding yourself, aligning yourself, realigning yourself if you've maybe gotten a little bit off kilter lately because of whatever the reason may be. So the point and purpose here is that you are strengthening your character from the inside out. This feels like Earth energy would be very comfortable in this position, so I don't feel a lot of tension in earthen energy this month. I feel like earth energy is going inward, which is very natural for Earth, being very disciplined, which is also very natural for Earth. Now, if you don't have a lot of earth energy in your chart, then this might be a challenge for you that you would be wise to take on for yourself, because it's going to give you the power to be able to organize and utilize your energy in a way that is powerful, and it's going to end up increasing the effect of your power because you know how to channel it and you're not wasting it all away into the ether. This is also allowing you to be very aware of who you are. So gaining self-awareness, just knowing who you are, period. For example, routine really messes with my Sagittarius, my Venus in Sagittarius. I don't like routines. At least I don't like to feel like I'm in a routine. So the routines that I create need to be flexible. The routines that I create need to be customizable, at least from my own point of view, even if there are elements in that schedule that aren't movable. There needs to be a percentage of flexibility to make me continue to feel free, as if I am indeed controlling my life, which I am in many ways, but we know that there are things that we have to do as well in life, and that's fine. But knowing yourself, like now that I know that about myself, I'm more gentle with myself when it comes to that, and I shape my world around who I am, so that I can get the best results. That's really what this is about, because this card is really talking about realizing your potential. And in order to realize your potential, you have to know who you are on a deeper level. So that's our focus for Earth. So I feel like Earth is in a harmonious position with that being the focus. If you are not naturally an earthen or have a lot of earth placements in your charts or feel like very grounded, you might be a more active person. then this could be a challenge again that would greatly benefit you. Okay, let's move on to air. Revolution. All right, so this is right up air's boat. Our air energy is that divine masculine, outwardly expressive, quick mental quickness, and always connect wittiness and like mental strength and discernment and truth, and all of these different things are connected to air energy. It talks about our throat, it covers our throat chakra. It connects to our ability to communicate and to like how we communicate, our communication. So you can pick like an area or a topic to focus on for the month. You can pick an element. You can select the focus of your month potentially by like your the strong placements in your birth chart. So if you have a lot of air placements, Gemini, Libra, Aquarius in your birth charts, then maybe air is your focus for the month. So air is on revolution right now. Okay, so this feels very air energy to me. So I do feel like air in a lot of ways could feel comfortable in this position. This month is all about transformation for our air energy. And not gradual transformation like Earth would like, but radical change like our air energy encourages. This feels very Aquarius to me. This idea of radical change, this idea of revolution, this idea of completely flipping on its head what was already thought to be the governing principles or energies. So this feels kind of tower energy in a way, but more in a holistic way, and definitely more spiritual, more inside out, in more of an inside out sort of thing. So if we take a look at our glyphs here, we see that we have the element of fire, which is represented here with the yellowy orange color. So we have our fire, and then we also have our lake energy, which is water adjacent. It's connected to water energy. And if we see the fire is below or under the lake energy, fire warms up. That fire energy is flowing into the lake. It's warming up the lake. It's heating it up. So to me, because we have fire and water, and both of those elements are connected to spirituality, spiritual growth, and creativity, it feels like that is how this transformation is going to happen. It's going to be a spiritual transformation. This fire energy is going to start warming up or bubbling up that water energy, so that the cool, calm, stable sort of energy of a lake. So, water comes in all different forms. There's rivers, there's lakes, there's streams, all these different things. Well, this is a lake, so it's a big, still body of water for the most part. But now we're heating it up from the inside, from below. We're heating it up from the inside. And so, to me, this tells me that the change, the transformation, and we even have an image of what to me looks like a phoenix. This tells me that your spiritual beliefs in many ways are going to be challenged, or maybe they have already been challenged. You're also being asked to, if you're in the process of that transformation, being asked to pay attention to it, put more energy into it, really dig into things and see how they work and if they work for you. I always say this, that your spiritual journey, it's an individual walk. It's not something that you can inherit from your family, from your parents, even though that is how we pass religion. We pass religion down. We cannot pass spirituality down. Spirituality is something that is an individual walk. It's an individual journey. It happens from the inside out. It happens from below the surface, and then the surface reflects that. So no matter what religion or spiritual belief pattern you've came from, like in your childhood, you have the power to make this life whatever you want it to. And so that's what our air is focused on. So in the position of air, I do feel like the changes will be happening inside. It will be there will be a focus on your mental space as far as your spirituality. So being able to, I would say, organize and logicize your spiritual beliefs from a mental perspective. I think finding truth and justice from the inside, inside of your mind space. So your heart and mind, I'm seeing the connection of those two chakras this month in this position and in this energy. And I feel like it's also encouraging you to give up the old way of thinking specifically. Now, again, this could stretch, giving up the old way could stretch, that idea could stretch, but I feel like the focus is, because it's in the air position, giving up the old way of thinking to make way for a new way of thinking. A new way of thinking, a new way of communicating, a new way of talking to yourself, a new way of speaking to other people, a new way of expressing yourself creatively through words and communication. So whether that's writing or a podcast or YouTube channel or teaching or public speaking, whatever that might look like for you, whatever you're vibing or connecting with, it does feel like the radical change is going to happen inside of the way you think, inside of the way you process, inside of the way you speak and communicate with yourself and those around you. Now, I do mention yourself because, again, this is an inward focus. We have that fire and that lake energy. The lake energy is on top of the fire. So it's like we're seeing a lake, right? We're seeing the smooth, slightly undulating surface of this lake. But underneath it is this hot, I always feel like volcanic energy that is heating up this lake from the bottom. And we can't see it on the surface, not yet, but it's happening underneath the surface. So I definitely feel like these changes are going to happen within you, that your thought process is going to change. Obviously, no one's going to see that. Your thought processes are going to change. How you talk to yourself when you do your affirmations, all of these other sorts of things. Affirming your positive qualities and looking at yourself from a positive perspective. All of that's going to be happening under the surface. And then once it kind of breaks the surface and explodes out into the world, there's going to be a quantum leap of progression in your entire life. I also feel like from this, there's going to be maybe some shifts and some changes in your career, some shifts and changes in how you make money and how you find stability in your life as well. And the things that you put up with and tolerate are going to be a lot different, because again, you're going to be finding truth from the inside, and you're building your spirit of discernment and intuition and connecting your heart space and your mind space together. And this is really going to make you care less about what people think. So if you're the type of person that, you care a lot what people think, or your family and your friends or whatever have a bigger sway or large sway over your life, this is going to change that. This is going to change that in a radical way. And you're going to care less about what people think about you and more about what you think about yourself. And it's almost like knowing who you are. So I definitely feel like earth and air, the focus of these two, are really speaking to me for some reason, that this connection is really going to be really strong. But we'll get into that later after we take a look at what water is doing for the month. Okay? All right. So water has great power, which we already know that water has great power. But the focus for the element of water is great power. So again, you can choose to focus on this energy, based off of many things. So our water energy covers creativity, it covers spirituality, it covers love in all of its forms, romance, friendship, family, self-love. which of course that's the root of love, is love for ourselves. Water energy is cool, divine feminine, inwardly strong, very, very powerful. And, you know, all of the elements are powerful, you know. And I feel like water is definitely underrated. But the mature version of water is, it's almost like the mature version of water rules with a softness that makes people feel like they're not being ruled. Like, people are there. People are under that leadership, under that water leadership, because they, I mean, lots of reasons, but it's almost like because they feel a part of, they feel loved, they feel connected, and there's a sustainability to that. And that's not to say that fire leadership isn't, you know, effective and all of that stuff, but it's just different. Like, people are attracted to the energy, right? But energy, fire and air energy, are not sustainable like earth and water. So that's just a little something to keep in mind. You can also select to focus on this energy, focus on water energy if you have strong water placements in your chart. So sun, moon, rising, Venus, and a water sign, Cancer, Scorpio, Pisces. All right, so we have great power this month for you, water energy. And it's actually, I didn't even read this card yet before I started jabbering on about water energy. But one of the key words for this energy is authority. So this to me says that water elements focus this month is going to be on claiming authority over life. I really feel like it. In order to be a good leader, in order to be a great power and not just a power, it takes the strength of character. And I feel like that's connected back to our earth energy focus for the month, to build that muscle of character. Suggesting that our water energy is going to have a lot of influence. Self-confidence, 9 of Cups is coming to mind for me. Leadership. There's going to be a potency here that's very intense. So we have yin energy in combination with the electric bulbs, which represents like a shock or a spark of energy. Feels very fire to me. Yin energy is divine masculine, outwardly expressive. So there's going to be a lot of outwardly expressive, shock to the system, intense energy with this great power. It's like in the position of water. So I do feel like if you aren't naturally fiery, even if you do have strong water placements, if you really don't have a lot of fire placements in your chart, you're not very, you're usually just super laid back, this month might be a challenge for you, because this is suggesting that you're going to be in a position of power, authority, a leadership position, the need to be really self-confident. You're going to be very influential. You're going to be making big moves in your life, in relationship to potentially to career or even home, like taking a leadership role in your home life, your career, job, a business, something like that, where you are exuding a lot of divine masculine energy, which again, if you have a lot of water placements, I would like to just put a little warning out there to just be mindful of what you need in order to sustain this energy. So I feel like, you know, just like talking from my own perspective to give a little bit of a point of view here, I have a lot of water placements in my charts, a lot, like a lot. And in that, it's important for me, you know, I have a fire placement in a really strong position in my chart. So I have Sagittarius and Venus in my chart, and that encourages me or influences me to really love work and doing things and helping people, which is why I'm here right now. But the point is that I love to do, I love to go, I love to help. But I also know myself well enough to know that I need to go inward. I need to hermit, go inside, spend time alone, rejuvenate, do some self-care, take a bath, give myself a facial, do my nails, like whatever that looks like, to remove myself from this high octane, super energy depleting, super inner energy depleting. So when fire runs in my life, it's evaporating my water stores. And so I have to, you know, allow that fire energy to rest so that my water energy stores can be replenished. So I feel like that's part of the thing. So there's kind of two messages here, so bear with me. If you're more of a divine feminine placement, so if you have a lot of water, a lot of earth in your birth chart, so again, that's Cancer, Pisces, Scorpio, or earth would be Taurus, Virgo, Capricorn. So if you have a lot of divine feminine placements in your birth chart, yes, you can be a really wonderful leader, okay? You can exert that fire energy, because we do have all of the elements working in our lives at all times. The thing here is that you're gonna need to peel off. Know yourself well enough to know when you need to pause this energy and do for yourself, replenish yourself, care for yourself, maintain yourself, so that you can go back out and do the things, right? In a way that is healthful, in a way that is not going to cause you issue and ailments and other sorts of things, maladies that are going to come from not listening to your body, not listening to your spirit when it's telling you that it's time to rest. It's time to rejuvenate. It's time to, you know, slip off into the cut and have a moment of peace and meditation and contemplation, rather than out there doing, going at 1,000,000 miles an hour, okay? And then there's a message here for our strong masculine, divine masculine, air and fire signs. That leadership and authority, strength of character, for you, it's like, you know, again, if you have a lot of that outwardly expressive energy, there's an encouragement for you to kind of, I'm thinking of the strength card in tarot. It's like an inner strength that's actually going to give you progress. Especially if you found that being really aggressive and just out there is not working for you. There's a suggestion here for you to try focusing inward, focusing rulership from the inside out, having that inner strength, having patience, and having, you know, courage, and the ability to listen, and the ability to create a plan, slowing down long enough. And I know that is so hard for my fire and air energies. Trust me, I know that. I have a lot of people that are fire and air, and it's difficult sometimes to sit still and really come up with a plan. Focus less on achievement and more on the personal, interpersonal communication, diplomacy, all of these different things that are necessary in leadership as well. A lot of the times we think of leader as the one out in front, the one that people follow. But the suggestion of this card is that great power actually comes from serving others, from serving your people, from serving the people that work for you. You work for them in this position of power, okay? And this is more sustainable because leaders, you know, people mess up, people need breaks, you know, all these sorts of things. So, you know, if people feel like they're following you and you let them down, then whatever you're working towards is going to fail because people are putting all of their eggs in your basket rather than you putting your eggs in their basket you serving them, you coming from a more humble position. And that's not to say you can never be out front, but this is just suggesting that, you know, I do feel like there needs to be a balance. Balance and harmony are always the focus. But this is just an encouragement for you to build, especially if you're starting something, building from the inside out, focusing on your people, focusing on listening, focusing on creating community and connection, rather than striving for results. Okay, so those are each of the individual messages, and now we're going to do a holistic message. So the holistic energetic message really feels internal. It feels like there's a lot of inner work happening and power from inside out. So in our air position and our water position, we both have a suggestion of a lot of things happening on the inside and then expressing themselves on the outside. So we have you know, this divine feminine position of power that works from the inside out. We have this almost like under the you know, behind the scenes sort of progress and transformation in our air position. Okay, so a lot of inside out sort of energy, this gathering together, right, unifying. And I feel like the water fire messages are actually really tied together, and I think it's interesting that they're kind of what I would consider like in the opposite positions, but of course it's by design. I would say gathering together is a more divine feminine message, but it's in the fire position. So I do feel it's like taming in a lot of ways that fire energy and channeling it. And then we have the great power, which is very, very fiery and outwardly expressive, and we have that in a divine feminine. So I feel like these two cards are definitely speaking together, and they are basically saying that an inwardly strong focus on unification, focusing on you know, that inner world, the inner workings, the community, developing the connections, ruling from a place of inner power and inner strength and inner confidence, and that will produce a more sustainable and longer lasting result, is the message I'm receiving for that. So if you are maybe being pulled to those two fire and water energies, that's the message there. And I always like to look at fire. When fire and water are together, to me that creates love. And again, love covers a lot of different things, not necessarily just romance. I do feel like there could potentially be a romantic message when we look at our fire and our water energy together. It does feel like very divine masculine, divine feminine energies are connecting. And I am seeing that they could be, for some of you, in like the opposite gender. Again, if someone identifies it, you know, as a particular gender. So for example, you know, the fire position, the divine masculine energy could be a female, and the divine feminine energy could be a male, that sort of thing. That's very specific to somebody, not necessarily, but I feel like the romance or love message would be, I feel like it's, it just really feels like you might meet this person, or this person might be connected to a project that you're working on, whether that's work or whether that's like just a side project or a project, like something that you love. And it could be something that you're working together on, or you could meet them while you're working on this project. You or them would be in a leadership position. So whether that's depending on the project, obviously, in the situation, but it feels like one of you would be in the leadership position or initiating the relationship in a professional way, and then it might progress into something greater. And the other person might be providing some sort of assistance with the business or something like that. It just feels very connected to some activity that you are both working on in different capacities. So again, that could just be partnership, not necessarily a romance, by the way. It could also mean like gathering together always reminds me of the Three of Cups as well in tarot, where you could meet this person through friends or through your network in some sort of way. Yeah, so holistically, I feel like we are focused on divine feminine energy and really strong and really focused. So let's look at fire and earth. Talk about career. All right, so we have the taming power of the great and gathering together. So we have earth energy and fire energy together. So I do feel like as far as the business goes, feels like there's more of a focus on creating stability and groundedness in whatever it is. So whether it's a career, whether it's a business that you're starting up or already have started up. This idea of self-discipline, making sure that you have a budget, making sure that you have registered your company, making sure that, you know, you're being patient and you're setting things up to last and not just to make a quick profit or to see quick results. There does seem to be a divine feminine energy again connected throughout this energy, so that inwardly strong, like creating a really solid foundation before taking action, making sure that you're building this career or business or whatever it is from the inside out, from a strong foundation up to the roof, and you're not trying to build the roof first, which our fire energy has a tendency to do that sometimes, just because there's so much excitement and energy around getting it done and results and getting out there and doing it. I do feel like the fire energy warms up the earth energy, because the earth energy can be very slow and paced. So they're thinking, you know, decades, and, you know, can be so slow that they never take a first step. So the fire energy is there to make, you know, to help with that first step. But I do feel like in this position of gathering together that getting things off the ground would be connecting with others, connecting with resources, pulling things together. That's really what the fire energy would be focusing on, is pulling together all of the resources, pulling together all of the people, putting them in the same room to talk through this thing. So this idea of unifying and bringing things together, that's the action. It's less exciting and more like necessary. Creating a plan, pulling things together, making sure that you have a solid vision, and how the vision, so the thought, the mind, is going to translate into the world itself, and into a tangible form. So I do feel like earth energy is going to be really at home, I guess, maybe even a little too comfortable. And fire energy is going to be very uncomfortable, trying to be patient and moving things along at a very paced and gradual sentiment. So there's going to be some progress in career, business, but it's going to be more like developing relationships and pooling resources together, things like that, rather than like, you know, running out there and making 2,100,000 sales or whatever. Like, it's going to be a more like foundational sort of paced progression in career. I do want to look quickly at air and water, because to me this feels like the connection of like communication and like the crux of where communication and like love and creativity come into place. And so the connection of the heart space and like your throat chakra, which is, the throat chakra is the bottleneck, quite literally in our bodies, but also spiritually, where, you know, all of your earthy and earthly energies reside, and they have to pass through that communication center, that throat chakra. So it is truly the conduit between our earthly existence and, you know, the higher energies, the brow chakra, the crown chakra, and above. So saying that to say that there's a lot of movement here in your worldly and spiritual connectivity. There's a lot of movement here on the inside. There's a lot of movement stirring. There's a lot of movement growing and developing. You know, with this revolution, I feel like, especially if you've been really activating your spiritual center and taking a leadership role in an authority position in your spiritual growth, that you know, that to me is like the earthly plane. That is the heart chakra and below. And then this idea of revolution, this idea of radical change, is not happening out of nowhere. It's happening because you've been working through it in all of your other, you know, chakras, from your heart down to your root. You've been working on your worldly, you've been doing your root work, your shadow work. You know, you've been really truly thinking about what spirituality means to you, what that feels like to you, what things in your past have been blocking that. And if you haven't, these are the sorts of things and questions and items for you to work through this month, in order to have this transformative revolution and radical change. Because once those desires start to develop inside of you with this great power, and you start to take an authority, and you start to get, you know, this self-confidence starts to develop in who you are from a spiritual position, then your thoughts, how you speak to yourself, how you communicate with yourself, how you communicate with the universe, how you communicate with the people around you, is going to change. And once that change happens, once that the bottleneck is cleared, then you are going to be in alignment and flow. There's going to be a flow from your crown down to your root, and anything you touch at that point is going to be gold. It's going to turn to gold, because you are going to be in complete sync and in complete harmony with yourself from top to bottom, from outer worldly energetic to the center core of your corporeal being. So there's a lot of beautiful movement happening in that position or connection between the worldly plane and your spiritual plane. And again, that the throat chakra, that air energy is the bottleneck that we have to kind of clear, and that's what we're working on from the inside out to the outside. Okay. So the divine masculine energy focus for the month is very divine feminine. It's very inwardly strong. It's very much so about containing and controlling and channeling. There's a slow sort of paced in to out sort of energy for divine masculine, which does put divine masculine energy in an uncomfortable position because it's very outwardly expressive. So containing that energy and focusing that energy is going to be a challenge. So if you find yourself more of a divine masculine sort of energy, this month is going to be a bit of a challenge for you, but the outcome is going to be really beautiful. It's when you're able to really truly channel that divine masculine energy, it's less wasteful and more, you're going to see more progress actually. So you're going to feel like you're not making progress on the outside. You're not going to be seeing a lot of results per se, but you're aligning things and you're figuring out how to organize that energy so that it can be the most efficient the most efficient. So then you're going to start seeing results faster and better with less effort. Okay, if you truly work through these things, of course. And from the divine feminine perspective, you know, there's kind of a blend here between discomfort and comfort. So I feel like, again, our earth energy is going to be very comfortable in this place of meditation and contemplation. But I feel like in general, there's really a focus on greatness. Okay, great power, taming power of the great. So you have great power here in our water position, and then you are taming that power. And I feel like this is an encouragement as well, that divine feminine energy is great. It is powerful. And, you know, sometimes we don't see it that way because, again, we see the world in a lot of ways from an outside in sort of way rather than an inside out sort of way. So at times the value of that inner power can be looked over and overshadowed. But this is not necessarily a bad thing if you know who you are and you are, you know, you have the self-discipline, you're confident, you're building your strength of character. So strength of character is showing up in both of these cards. So that's definitely a focus, realizing potential and peak conditioning. So it does feel like there's this, it's almost like you have to go inward in order to get to this place of greatness. So it feels like very earth meditation, get spiritually strong, know yourself, know your skills, know what you bring to the table. And from that, you will have confidence. So these energies feel very much so in alignment with each other. And then both of them, of course, have the yin energy underneath on the bottom. So they are, I would say, they are influencing, but that power is being channeled, is being contained into specific elements. So for water, that energy is being challenged and channeled into change and authority and starting things and getting things off the ground and potential and all of these sorts of related items. And in this position, that energy is going into discipline and in inward pursuits. So self-awareness and self-discipline and realizing your own potential, getting in alignment with your own purpose, you know, longevity and sustainability is a keenness. So the sustainability of great leadership comes from the inside out, from this viewpoint. Okay. So some very interesting synchronicities and some very beautiful messages for the month as far as elemental energy goes. These are the messages that I channeled for you today, beautiful souls. I hope this was helpful. We dug in a little bit deeper and combined some of the messages. So if you are feeling drawn to more than one, I certainly hope that, you know, you found a message here that resonated with you. I certainly appreciate you spending your spiritual time and energy with me today, and I shall see you in an upcoming reading. If you're interested in your own personal reading, you can check me out on Etsy. All available readings will be available on my Etsy shop. The links to everything will be in the description. Thanks again, and I'll see you in an upcoming reading. Bye.